Hey, and welcome to episode 26 of SUPcast. This is SUPcast. This is with NeilP, Neil Patterson. I'm a guy who put myself in quarantine, and we're going to go a little bit into what has just happened here. Or what has been happening. And I remember Allie and I posted some sort of a picture celebrating our anniversary, because our anniversary happened sometime in March, I believe, early March. And I posted a photo, and I was like, where Allie told me that I'm not allowed to freak out about the upcoming pandemic, and we're supposed to just concentrate on having our anniversary. So we did that day. We had our anniversary. And I promised I wouldn't freak out about the pandemic. And this was back a couple weeks ago. When the news about this started bubbling to the surface, when things were going awry in China and in Italy, I didn't know much about it. I didn't know much about it at all. And all I knew is it was coming. And I remember reading this thing on the internet where it said, get ready to have your lives disrupted by this virus. And I remember just being like, I wonder how my life is going to be disrupted by this virus. And now we are currently in the beginning stages of having our lives disrupted by this virus. And it seemed as though everyone, whatever was happening in China, like everyone was just like, no one even had any idea of what was going on the other side of the world. They were just like, because there was protests there not that long ago. There was like big ass protests, but there was like big groups of people and they were protesting shit. And they were trying, to get rights as human beings in their tyrannical government, and I don't even know much about that, but I know it was happening, and I know they were over there, and then all of a sudden you heard about this happening, and all of a sudden it's over here, and they're telling everyone, stay put. And I want to give you my account of the hysteria that I became a part of while I was on tour with my band just about a week ago, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna explain pretty much where I was at mentally when this first started occurring. But real quick, we're gonna delineate a tiny bit, and I got a nice message from a guy, and I just want to let you know you can still send us an email at SUPcastpod@gmail.com if you want to talk about anything. So right now we're going to delineate just for a second. And I got a nice email about the rock and roll band Downtown Brown that I've been playing at. And I'm just going to read this real quick before we get full blown into the pandemic conversation and my story about what was going through my mind. Because I know everyone's lives have been affected by this now. So I'm going to tell you how it affected me in the very beginning stages of when they started locking shit down in California. Okay, but right now I am going to open up this email that I got from this nice man named Chuck Garcia. And I just wanted to read this because it's kind of cool. Chuck Garcia writes, "Hey man, I used to listen to Downtown Brown and go to every show around the Toledo, Bowling Green area and in Detroit a lot. I met you and everyone a bunch, and my friend and I used to hug Ron every time we saw him. LOL, but yeah, the last time I saw you guys was that New Year's show I messaged about. That was right when I finally decided to give the doctors another chance with helping with my mental health because I had reached a breaking point, which was right about then. You were always open about your mental health journey issues, and yes, I have been, and expressing them in your music, which is true because I've written songs about being on antidepressants and not being able to feel my penis and whatnot, and I've delved into the depression and being medicated thing. So this is Chuck writing, you were always open about your mental health journey issues and expressing them in a way in your music. It's been a brutal fucking climb that I was so confident it would never happen, but I had close friends that never gave up on me. Things started picking up right when the medication caught stride in 2018, and it's just been a constant work and push forward since. I've become this person that is happy to wake up every day, optimistic about the future and building new friendships and relationships that, again, I was confident would never happen, and I would just work and live and die alone. I've been working on my room because music has always been my thing, and I've been collecting posters and shit for a year. Found this piece of notebook paper that just made me feel something. And the piece of notebook paper was a set list from one of the Downtown Brown shows. So he writes, Chuck continues, I lived with depersonalization/derealization almost the entire time I was seeing you guys live, and those were the happiest fucking times. I appreciate everything, and I read some of the emails, and I still get about what you're up to, and I hope nothing but the best for you too on the rest of the journey, man. And that's what Chuck writes, and I just want to say, Chuck, dude, thank you for... back to the mental health thing, but thank you for opening up and writing this email, because... I've been very candid about my struggles with depression and stuff. But this whole Corona thing is putting it into perspective, because the things that I was depressed about and the things that I was sad about, everyone's experiencing now. Everyone. I was depressed because I lost my job, and it's like, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna live. And now it's literally, we're all experiencing that at the same time. So a lot of my depression was situational, but I do think a lot of it had to do with it was just my lineage. I think my dad was a really depressed guy, and my mom is definitely a hyper worrier. We both struggle with, my dad and my mother have mental health issues, and so does my brother and my sister and my aunt, and we're all either addicts or depressed or all the above. I'm a depressed, anxious addict, and yeah. I got a little stoned, so I'm definitely kind of like losing track here a little bit because I'm thinking about so much. But Chuck Garcia, thank you for writing, and I'm glad. Oh, that's what I wanted to say is, like, I wrote a song about how I don't want to be on the pills. And the song is pretty much like, oh, I don't need your pills. I can handle this on my own. But for some people, being on the pills is the first step into having their lives be better. And Chuck, the way Chuck writes is that once he was properly medicated for what was going on with him, he was able to make some personal strides in his life. And that shit is tight. So, like, I'm not anti-pills. I'm anti-pills for me because I don't like the side effects. But... I'm also a weird addict type, and I remember, like, as the hysteria for this shit, and as we were buying groceries and everyone was buying up all the groceries, I remember thinking to myself, like, should I just, like, buy a bottle of booze and start drinking again? But I decided just to get a bunch of cannabis instead. So Chuck Garcia, thanks for writing, dude, and I'm glad you're doing well, and hopefully you can maintain on that good path of mental health through this fucking crazy time that we're all living in right now. So, like, just, keep your head up, dude. And if as long as the pharmacies remain open, if they put us on lockdown or whatever, the pharmacies remain open, you should be able to get your drugs, your medicine that helps you with what, your mental health issues, and hopefully stay afloat, Chuck. Stay afloat, just like we're trying to. And so that's that. And I don't know where to go from here. This is SUPcast episode 26. The last episode we did was with Bobbins, and it was very carefree. I had the COVID-19 in the back of my head, but we didn't even touch on that. We just were ready to go on tour with Guttermouth, Downtown Brown. And we were just about to shove off, and I got one podcast in with the Bobbins, and then Phil came into town, and we had a rehearsal, and we were getting ready to go out with Guttermouth. But as we were going out, it was, somewhere looming was this whole thing about this virus. And I remember taking stage even the first night in Reno. We drove all the way from Los Angeles to Reno, and we just spent most of the day just bullshitting. And, I haven't seen the guys in the band in quite some time, and our lives are pretty separate. So we're just, bullshitting. They're smoking weed. I'm buying some CBD, almonds and whatnot. And we're driving through the mountains, and we're just talking about, I don't remember if we really had a collective opinion on what was going on, but I remember being on stage on Wednesday, the 11th of March, and in Reno, Nevada, and I remember the room was pretty full, and it didn't seem like collectively the human beings were really afraid of anything at that point. There was a mosh pit. Everyone was standing really close to each other. It was a small bar. And I just remember being on stage and thinking to myself, like, we open up with the Acropolis, and I'm just, we even said something when we played the Viper Room before we shoved off to go to Reno. I remember talking about, this is the end of days. Does everyone have their toilet paper? People were already buying toilet paper around the 7th of March. Around the 7th of March, they already started hoarding stuff. So does everyone have their bottled water? Does everyone have their toilet paper? And it was just, I didn't really see the hysteria yet on the 7th. And on the 11th, I didn't either. But then we played a gig on the 12th. And that was in San Jose. And that was when everyone started canceling their gigs. And we were pretty much just sitting in the green room with Guttermouth, and they're talking about, well, no punk rock bowling, you know, even though it hadn't been canceled yet. But we like they canceled Coachella, and they canceled they started canceling all these big shows, and we were sitting in the green room, and the dudes in Guttermouth, they're in a bunch of other bands, and they're all just like, shit, I was supposed to go to Europe, I hope that happens. Phil, who plays with Downtown Brown, is in Acid Witch, and he's like, well, I hope these festivals still happen. And then everything started getting canceled. And I don't know if it was that night in San Jose or if it was the next night. But in San Jose, a bunch of people bought tickets to the Guttermouth shows, Guttermouth, Downtown Brown, Infirmities, at the Ritz in San Jose. And the place, there was 20 people in this place, and you could definitely fit 750 people in this place. It's like a big mid-sized venue, the Ritz in San Jose, California. And yeah, so 25 people came out, and it wasn't bad because that's our bread and butter. That's what Downtown Brown does. We play in front of 25 people. That's our thing. And yeah, I just completely lost track of thought. Yeah, that's Downtown Brown's bread and butter. We play in front of 25 people. That's what we do. Because when we were on tour headlining, we play these small shows. So I'm just like, all right, let's just treat it like that. Let's get up there and let's just do our thing. And we're, I that's when I started really fucking seeing people's panic. Just because, like, let's say there was 100 tickets sold to that show, only 1/4 of those people showed up. Everyone started getting really kind of panicky, and it started being something that I addressed on stage a lot. Like, I'm really just, and I would be like, yeah, just everyone take care. We don't know what the fuck's going on. Everyone just take care of yourself. And people kept their distance. I remember, like, I felt like I had a little bit of a cold that night, and I remember there was a woman that came to see us, and I'm giving everyone the elbow. I'm trying not to touch people. I brought my own microphone. I started getting kind of really freaked out, like second day into the Guttermouth run. I was already getting freaked out because I watched a show with 100 people and only already bought tickets, and only 25 of them showed up. So I was like, ooh, I'm like, I've never seen anything like this. And then, yeah, so we play in San Jose, and then the next day, we drive up through San Francisco into like NorCal area, and we're playing this place in Santa Rosa, which is this bar. And I'm just like, so I'm talking to the bar owner. I'm like, how have things been? He's like, well, the people are still coming. And this is before they canceled all the bars and wineries. That happened 2 days later. So every single day, something even weirder than the previous day would happen. Like, they tell everyone to stay inside. Everyone starts buying up all the fucking toilet paper, and then the next day they cancel all the shows. And then the next day they cancel fucking sports. I remember when I was in Santa Rosa, I'm like, they canceled the fucking NBA. They canceled the NBA. They canceled fucking Disneyland, dude. And I didn't know anything about the virus. I was just on the road, so I was driving. I didn't have a chance to really like get on the internet and do any research. So I'm sitting there. I'm just like, they canceled sports. Huge moneymaker. They canceled fucking music. They canceled fucking Disneyland. And I'm just thinking to myself, they never do this. Like, because the people who really are controlling this country, they're going to want to, I mean, the people invested in sports. I mean, that like, people always argue like you're being controlled and you're being distracted by all of the dumb TV and all the sports and things. So if they want to keep everyone calm, and if they want to keep people like docile and stupid, like we think they have been for so long, controlling us, and sports is a big thing that keeps people docile and stupid. And that's still going on. But once that stops going on, it's like, okay, like if they really wanted to be keeping us docile and stupid with distracting us with the sports and whatnot, like why would they cancel sports? So I've never seen. Have you ever seen them cancel sports before? Ever? Like there's been fucking strikes. I know, like the hockey strike or whatever. Like the people behind the scenes have delayed seasons, like NBA seasons, because of strikes and stuff. But have you ever seen sports straight up canceled? So I start getting really freaked out. I'm on the road and I'm on stage, and there's this dude. We start playing in Santa Rosa, and this dude wants to start a pit immediately. But you could tell people didn't want to touch each other. People didn't want people went to the show, but they kept their fucking distance. They didn't dance. The only people that I saw dancing was like a father and a daughter, and it was while we were playing, they were like swing dancing, and it was cool because I guess they'd been taking lessons together, like a daddy-daughter thing. That's pretty cool. But yeah, so they were dancing, but they obviously live together. They know each other. They're not worried about contracting some weird shit from strangers. And the whole time we're doing this, like the guys in my band, they're like sharing joints with strangers, sharing, smoking weed with strangers, like putting their lips on something, and they're all sharing it, and I'm not really a weed smoker, so I'm thinking to myself, like, if any of us carry it, like every single person whose house we're staying at is gonna get this shit because we're literally all smoking weed together. That's something that was going through my mind. So I just ate a bunch of garlic, and I tried to keep my immune system tip top. And I just, drove around, and it's just like every show we played, shit got a little weirder. It just got a little weirder. So they canceled sports when we're in Santa Rosa, and there's some, like, back to my story, there's some guy trying to start a pit, and I actually have footage of it. I was telling the guy, or telling the audience, like, everyone, put their hands together for the one guy that wants to touch everyone here, because it was just one drunk idiot. And then he comes up and he pushed me on stage. He pushed me and I was just like, don't fucking touch me, And I said, don't fucking touch me, man. And so he stops trying to do a pit, and as we play our set, everyone's paying attention and having a good time to Downtown Brown, and that guy just kind of like lurked off into the background and just was like the one drunk guy that wanted to start a pit when a pandemic is breaking out in the United States of America. The guy's a fucking idiot. We probably shouldn't have all been at that show. Like, it probably is like, but then again, is it way worse now? How do we actually know? All I know is that I'm locked in my fucking bathroom right now, and I'm doing a podcast in my shower because I'm protecting myself. I'm self-quarantining. So yeah, the next night after Santa Rosa, okay, so we stay with these nice young people that put us up, and they're in Frank Zappa, and they're playing records, and everyone's just smoking weed. Everyone's just passing weed. And I didn't hit it because I'm like, well, I've actually felt kind of sick even going into this tour, and all I was thinking is like, oh, I got to stay well because I want to perform well. But it usually I'm like, I got to stay well so I can sing. But it got to this point where it's like, I got to stay well so I don't get sick and fucking give some strangers this shit because I'm on stage like yelling into a microphone. So I started getting fucking really paranoid, and I was just watching everyone just smoke weed and share weed like it wasn't no big deal. And I'm sitting there, and I'm starting to get fucking really antsy. And then, so that's on the 14th. And then we get up, and we drive back through San Fran, and we go all the way down to Paso Robles. And Paso Robles, the show is still happening, and there's over 100 tickets sold. So we go to this winery, and it's just like it's a fucking castle. There's like a moat around the fucking castle and all this shit. And it's pretty fucking. How long have we been talking? 18 minutes. It's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts that, like, in rich-ass wine country, life is still just continuing. Like amid the beginnings of the panic of this pandemic, everyone who bought tickets to this rock show is just like, well, I'm going to go to this fucking winery, and I'm going to watch Guttermouth, and I'm going to fucking eat a bunch of fucking expensive cheese and drink $18 a glass Chardonnay. And it's... I was just looking out in the crowd, and I'm just like, yeah, like, fucking welcome to the Acropolis. This is the end of days, like making jokes about, but like in my soul, I was feeling very uneasy. They canceled fucking sports, and all the gigs were getting canceled. We were surprised because as every night happened, when we pulled up in San Jose and they said the gig was still happening, I was like, this is fucking weird because they canceled everything. LA County had already shut down by the 13th. By the 14th, like fucking everywhere had shut down. The governor of California was saying no events more than 250 people, and we're like, okay, well, we're scooting because these are small ass punk shows. And then by the 15th, we're on stage at this winery, and literally the entire state had pretty much like shut down bars. it seems, in gatherings, and it tells people just don't go anywhere. And we're playing on stage at this winery, and then when Guttermouth is playing, Mark from Guttermouth is like pouring wine down his fucking gullet. He's like, there's these chicks that are making out with him, and they're sharing wine and just pouring wine all over each other and just like pretty much spitting on each other. And I'm just thinking to myself, dude, it's like we're all about to be told to like not fucking touch or be close to any humans, and here's Mark from Guttermouth just like fucking like pretty much chugging a bottle of wine with some chick that like he had, like they were tonguing each other. And I'm just like, yeah. And so that gig ends, and I remember I was starting to get pretty fucking panicky. And Mark from Guttermouth, when we were in Santa Rosa, he told me, he's like, yeah, we're in big trouble. And then, but all I could tell about what was going on was like pretty much from people on Facebook who were part of the fucking freak out. They were part of the fear. And I was just driving the van, and then I would stop, and then I'd get a dose of fear, and then I'd get back in the van. So I started really thinking in the van, and especially the day after that winery, the day after the winery gig, they closed all bars. And they closed all wineries. So I'm thinking, okay, we just played at a winery last night where everyone was like licking each other. And then the next day we're like, that shit's canceled. And we're driving back to LA. And before we started driving back to LA from after the winery gig and we were in Paso Robles, I had the idea to go to a fucking Walmart. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to get some fucking supplies. And as I went to the Walmart, I realized that like people had bought all of the food and all of the toilet paper. And just the day before, I went to CVS because I'm like, all right, I'm going to get some wet wipes because I wipe my butt with wet wipes. Because if you've ever had hemorrhoids, you know that like toilet paper just is disgusting and it's not clean and it's dirty. And, you know, if you're going to like wipe your ass, you might as well clean your ass, not just fucking rub the poop all over your butt hair. So, yeah, I've been using wet wipes for fucking ever, and I just bought a bunch of wet wipes. But, dude, the next day, they were all gone. All the toilet paper, all the wet wipes, all the hand sanitizer, all the bottled water, all the canned food. And all I knew about this thing was fucking everything was getting canceled, and fucking everyone on Facebook was kind of losing their minds already. So I was like, I was already sort of freaked out. But when I went to that fucking Walmart, I like felt panic in my heart. And I'm like, okay, like if this is fucking for real and people are going to be fighting over water and people are going to be killing each other over water and people are going to be like fucking like it's going to get to the point where the people that can't get these resources or can't afford these resources are going to start taking it by force, and there's going to be blood in the streets. There's going to be bloodshed. There's going to be we're not going to have a way to defend ourselves in our home, and we have to flee. We have to go east. So like, I remember hitting up my brother and just being like, dude, it's like, I'm making a run for it. As soon as I drop these guys off, I'm getting in my van and I'm out of here, dude. I'm going to Dearborn and I'm going to quarantine myself in my fucking van on my mother's property, and she's going to be inside of the house. It's going to be 45, 50 degrees in Michigan, but I'm going to dig a hole in her backyard where I'm going to piss and shit, and I'm going to exercise, and I'm going to just quarantine myself in the van, and I'm not going to talk to anyone, and I'm going to defend her home from the people that might try to take her safety away, and I'm going to make sure she doesn't leave the house as to not make herself at risk. And I started building this idea in my head of what I was going to do. And I was pretty sure that my girlfriend, Allie, was going to want to stay in California. And so I remember thinking to myself, like, all I have to do is make sure that she's safe at her parents' house, because her parents live in like a gated community in a 5th floor apartment in Santa Ana. And I'm like, she'll be safe there. She should go there. And she should like lock herself in that gated community and not fucking leave. And they should all quarantine themselves out there. And I'm going to drive. It's going to take me 3 days to drive across the country to get to Dearborn, Michigan, to fucking protect my mother from the people that are going to try to fucking kill her for her water. You know, I'm thinking seriously Mad Max shit. Like, people are going to start hoarding shit and fighting over it and killing each other for basic resources. And yeah, so, but I literally came to all these conclusions without a real understanding of how bad this virus actually is statistically. And, the statistics aren't, but just pretty much like I didn't do any fucking research on this. I came to this plan just having like been on tour, watching life get canceled, and then just like buying into the fear. I went into that fucking Walmart and I immediately was stricken with like a paranoia, like to the nth degree. Like this is the fucking end days. I need to make sure the people I love are okay. I need to fucking go back to the Midwest and protect them. And it was wild because the way it all happened is I started communicating this to Allie through Facebook Messenger, and I just was like, we need to make a run for it. We need to head east. And she was just like, you're fucking crazy. Like, we should just stay here and ride it out. And I'm just like, it's not safe. You need to go to your parents. We need to go to our parents. We need to flee. We need to do this immediately. And I started telling her, I'm like, listen, if you don't go to your parents, and this is how I preface this, that if we don't go to your parents, then I'm leaving without you, and you're gonna have to go there just to be safe. And what in my fucking mind when I was driving the van and I was driving back to LA from wine country and I was thinking about this fucking plan, my mind was literally like, all you have to do is get Allie to her parents' house before they lock everything down, and you're just gonna leave her there. You're going to leave her there because she won't comply with going out to you and living in your van in your mom's driveway in Dearborn to protect her. So you're going to leave her at her parents' house, and she might break up with you. She might not want to be with you anymore. She might be so mad at you, but you will have in turn saved her life because you got her before lockdown. This is what my brain is going through. You got her before lockdown to be in a safe place where she will be stuck while you drive across the country hauling ass to get to fucking Dearborn to make sure your mother's safe. And that was going to be my plan. And I came back here, and Phil was still with us, Phil the drummer. He hadn't gotten on his plane yet, and I was kind of thinking that they were going to cancel all flights. So I remember telling Phil, we were walking in Venice Beach after the tour ended because we were trying to get all our ducks in a row. And I remember telling Phil, hey man, if they cancel your flight, I'm making a run for it. I'm headed back to Detroit, and you could come with me and we could switch off driving and we can get there in 48 hours. We can get there, like, we can just do it Iron Man style. We can get there in fucking 38, 39, 40 hours if we just keep driving and never stop. And he's like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. But, I get back and Allie's just super pissed off at me. And she's like, you're freaking out. We shouldn't leave. We should stay put. We have a place. We have supplies. No one's going to come kill us. And I just remember being like, you don't know what you're talking about. People are going to start killing each other in the streets. And people are going to, this is the fucking end. People are going to, and I have to save my mother. I have to make sure she's okay. I have to make sure she doesn't leave the house. And I have to make sure that I'm there. So I'm going to quarantine myself on her property. I'm going to shit in a hole. Are you with me? Or are you staying here? If you're staying here, you're staying at your parents. No discussion. And yeah, she just is like, shut the fuck up. And, so, yeah, I dropped Phil off at the airport, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to make a run for it. Phil got on his plane, okay. The airports are still running, and I'm like, all right, before they put us on lockdown, before they say we can't go anywhere, I'm going to fucking, I took my van, and I got my van worked on, and I dumped a bunch of money with my credit card into maintenance for the van, making sure that it could make the trip, making sure that the hoses were good, making sure that the fucking brakes were good, that the tires were good, making sure that fucking I had a new serpentine belt, which was cracked, making sure I had a tire rotation, oil change. I'm like, all right, yeah, because I'm going. No one's going to stop me, not even my fucking girlfriend. She's going to stay with her parents before they get put on lockdown, and then she's going to be locked down somewhere safe. And so I dropped Phil off. I'm ready to go, and Allie's asleep, and I'm just thinking about, like, okay, she's going to be so mad when I tell her I'm gone, but I'm going as soon as she wakes up. And then I go on the internet, and I start reading about this virus and what's happening in Italy, and I'm start reading about what's happening in France and what's happening in South Korea and what happened in China with it. And I start reading some cold hard statistics about it. And yeah, this virus, it hasn't killed a whole lot of people. But I've definitely read some firsthand recollections of people that got the virus. And they were like, yeah, we got the virus on a cruise ship. They put us in quarantine. They gave us all thermometers. They made us check our temperature once an hour. I started to notice symptoms. This was an older couple. They both got it. They both got symptoms and started off with a cold. And then after the cold, it started off with a deep cough and went into a deep cough and kind of a flu. And then after the flu came pneumonia. And they were put on quarantine and they were taken to the hospital and they were heavily monitored. If they wouldn't have been taken care of, this old couple probably would have died because they needed to be hospitalized. And the main thing we have to worry about is making sure that our elderly and the people that have immunodeficiencies or I don't know what the exact term is, but the people with like weak immune systems, autoimmune deficiency problems. We need to do whatever we can to halt this thing, just to make sure that the hospitals don't fill up and that the people who fucking do get this, like, they can be taken care of. Because like the main thing that I'm noticing in Italy and what I read about is, that there's a large elderly population and the hospitals filled up to the point where the Italian people and the people trying to help the people that actually got this virus are having to let some people die. And if we're smart enough and we take care of this shit by just staying put and doing what they tell us to do, as much as it sucks, we could like lessen the blow of all of this. Is fucking what I'm understanding. So after doing a little research and seeing some interviews with people that actually got it, see some YouTube videos of people that actually got it, and seeing what everyone is recommending we do so we don't spread it, and about quarantining yourself and whatnot. I pretty much woke up the next day and my mother decided to self-quarantine. We had a discussion about that, and I told Allie, I'm like, well, as far as numbers are concerned, this, like, more people die in car crashes a day than have been killed in total. Well, I would say, like, as the numbers are right now, I think like maybe like 9,000 people worldwide have died, and 3,000 people a day die from car accidents. And it just seems like people are staying put, and that's what we got to do, is we got to fucking stay put. And instead of deciding to drive across the country so I could live in my van and potentially, ruin my relationship and like make my partner feel like I left her defenseless to deal with this, she and I just decided that we were going to fucking self-quarantine, and this is day 3, I believe. And, I definitely still have that cold that I had from the gutter mouth thing, but it hasn't erupted into a gnarly cough, and it hasn't erupted into any sort of fever that I can tell. And we're just laying low here. And if, hopefully my symptoms don't get any worse and it doesn't erupt into some sort of like fever and then into pneumonia, because then I may very well have contracted this thing just from traveling and having a compromised immune system just from like lack of sleep and like being in places with a bunch of other people. Hopefully, what I have is just a cold and it goes away. But we really need to think about it is like 2 weeks. Like you can be asymptomatic for 2 weeks and not even know if you have this thing. So it's all these young people are just like, yeah, I might get it, but I still got to go to spring break. It's like, fuck you. It's like, no, like you got to think about like, yeah, if you get it and you're like fucking running around breathing all over everyone, that someone who fucking might not be able to survive it is going to get it. And if a shitload of people get it, there's not going to be enough room in hospitals to fucking help all the people that need help from this shit. So it's like, yeah, like if you're young and you're like, I don't care if I give it to anybody, you're a fucking asshole. Like, fuck off. Stay home. Michael Rappaport did a big rant about it, and it's true. Yeah, it's like, who cares if you'll live if you get it? You're still going to get really sick. It doesn't matter your age. Like, you're still going to get really sick. And then if you just give it to a bunch of people for the 2 weeks that you're like not worried about getting it or not worried that you're going to have it, and you just give it to a bunch of fucking people who could potentially die from it, then you're a fucking piece of shit. So fuck off, Florida dumbasses, fucking spring break cocksuckers. Just, hang out, self-quarantine yourself. Don't go anywhere unless you like really need something. And that's my advice. Even though like I'm not a scientist, I don't know anything about this shit. All I know is that like I literally got fucking affected by the mass hysteria of this thing so much to the point where I was ready to straight up leave my girlfriend here, and I was going to drive across the country to make sure that my mom was safe in Michigan, and I was going to park my fucking van on her property and not even go in her house and shit in the woods behind her fucking garage, and drink her fucking hose water, and then just like do military style workouts in her backyard until this thing blows over for the next 2 months. But that's not gonna happen. She agreed because she's 71 and she has lung issues. She has COPD, smoking induced COPD, because she's been smoking cigarettes since she was 15 and now she's 71 years old. But my mom is fucking staying put. My mom is staying put, and my brother delivered her groceries, my sister delivered her groceries, and my brother actually delivered her cigarettes, because she's an addict. This is the thing about my mom, is you could be like, oh, your brother like gave her cigarettes. It's like, I can't think of any other reason why she would leave the house, because she pretty much stays at the house anyway, unless homegirl ran out of cigarettes. If my mom runs out of cigarettes, she's gonna go to the store. She doesn't care about a pandemic. She's gonna get her smokes. So my brother did the right thing. He dropped off a carton of smokes, and my mom wiped that shit down with some disinfectant shit, and now my mom's got smokes for weeks. My mom's got smokes for days. And, my mom shouldn't be smoking. She had 3 brain surgeries in 2017. They're saying that smoking could cause one of those aneurysms to reoccur in her brain. But you know what? She's an addict, and sometimes addicts just continue to do the shit that they've been addicted to ever since they're a little kid. And my mom's brain surgeon told me, like, hey, I'm Dr. Thompson. I'm a neurosurgeon, and I'm here to tell you that your mom's probably never going to quit smoking. So the least my brother can do is go get her a carton of smokes and drop that shit off at her door. But my mom's doing the right thing. I have this aunt that is going to the fucking post office. She's going to the grocery store, and she's the same age as my mom. She's like 71, 72. She's like, oh, I'm just going in and out. That's all it takes. You're in and out. And next thing you know, you got this thing. And it could kill you. And, my aunt is a lifelong smoker. It's my mom's best friend growing up. And if she gets this thing, she could be a goner as well, because it's like, she has fucking a terrible smoking cough. She is over 70 years old. She's a very frail woman, my Aunt Mary. So, and she's being very dumb by fucking going and doing shit. So it's like, if you have elderly, make them stay the fuck put. If you're in good health, go get stuff for them. Go get stuff for your elderly, for the elderly people in your life. Don't fucking go in their house and give them a hug. Drop the shit off at their porch, wave hi to them through the window, talk to them through FaceTime, and let's take care of the elderly. My brother's got my mom right now. I'm very lucky, and I'm here with Allie, and she's in the kitchen, and we're gonna eat some burritos, and I am sitting in this bathroom area, shower, doing the SUPcast episode 26. Yeah, it's episode 26. So we're going to continue supping through this crisis, and we're going to continue to explore what life is like in quarantine in Long Beach, California, and probably going to try and get some guests on here, but do it remotely, because that would be kind of cool, as if we can do some sort of remote thing, right? So I've been doing the things. I've been trying to keep my immune system afloat, and so I've been supplementing with elderberry, and I've been eating raw garlic, which is making me very gassy, and Allie's super pissed off about that. I've been eating raw garlic, and I've been eating vitamin C, elderberry, raw garlic, water, and yeah. That's what I've been supplementing my diet with. And then we're sitting on a lot of water and food, and we're just laying low. We're just trying not to fucking go anywhere. We haven't seen any people in days. We're here. And, I got a little stoned. Phil, before he left on the plane, he got me some edibles, and I haven't done cannabis in fucking a long time. I think the last time I was doing cannabis was around the beginning of the podcast when I did the I'm Not Sober episode 4, and I smoked weed on camera. But I've really, after I interviewed Norwood, because I interviewed Norwood shortly afterwards, I was just like, all right, well, like, I like what Norwood had to say about having a sound mind and being straight, and I pretty much stopped smoking weed, but yeah, Phil got me some edibles, and I've just been stoned like the last 3 days, and just eating snack food that we got lying around the house. It's been intense because cannabis has been distant from me for so long, but I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to buy a bottle of booze, even though I really want to, but I'm not going to ruin my sobriety from alcohol just because I'm like scared. So I'm just going to get really high and be really scared. And that's what I did. I got high, and these flu symptoms, these cold symptoms that I got, I started really convincing myself that, I might have this, and how are we going to get tested, and where are the test kits, and how are we supposed to know if we have this or not? But then I'm just like, you're just high, Neil, and just take care of yourself. Stay on with the garlic, stay on with trying to keep your immune system strong, get a lot of rest, and work on some content. So I'm going to be talking into a microphone, and I'm going to be maybe recording some songs, and I'm working on a music video from the Cal Florida album right now. And I'm going to still try to provide people with little tidbits of content, just because that's, I'm going to go crazy if I'm not making something. So am I doing it for people, or am I doing it for myself? It's a little bit of both. I make stuff because I enjoy it, but hopefully other people enjoy it too. And so here we are, I'm recording a podcast during this fucking quarantino. But yeah, we got, all in all, Phil came out for 6 shows, and we played 5 of them. Everyone else we know, they had to cancel like 20 shows. They were on longer tours, though. We just happened to be on like a short tour, like right when the pandemic started, to be noticed at least by our government. Because our friends in Child Bite, they had to cancel like 20 shows. The guys in Bumpin' Uglies had to cancel a 7-week tour. Mike Dillon had to stay put. Like, everything got canceled. And I know a lot of people are worried about, how am I supposed to pay my bills if I have no income? This is another thing I wanted to talk about on this episode of the podcast, is personally what I was able to have put on freeze. Now on freeze right now, instead of having to pay for this shit, I called up my credit union that I have my car loan through, and I usually pay like, $250 a month for the van. And I said, hey, there's no gigs, and my girlfriend lost her job, and we are straight up have no money. So what are you, the credit union, prepared to do? And they straight up put my shit on a 3-month freeze. The online store put my shit on a 3-month freeze. What else froze? My credit cards, deferred payments for this month. Now, we still have to pay rent, but if we all go under lockdown, that might not happen. They might put a freeze on everyone's rent. They might put a freeze on a lot of this stuff. So like, before you start freaking out about money, like, take a deep breath, because if we're all losing our jobs, or if a lot of us are losing our jobs and not able to pay our bills, and everyone's on the phone freaking out, do I have to pay my bill? Do I have to pay my bill? Some of these companies are preemptively working with us on this. So I probably cut my monthly expenses at least in half, just by fucking calling credit companies and calling people that I have monthly payments through, and seeing if they'll put some sort of a fucking delay on it. And a lot of them have been cool about it. Some of them are just like, we can't do that. My car insurance and rent being one of them. So those are what we're going to prioritize, paying those bills. And hopefully, I know, I never was a big Hillary supporter either. If I would vote for anyone, I'd probably vote for Bernie Sanders. But I'm not leaving, so I'm not going to be leaving to do anything. I'm not going to sanitize my hands to vote for anybody. But the whole Trump thing, it's funny that motherfuckers that were like, fuck Trump, are like, well, he's going to fucking write us a check. And if he did that, honestly, like, let's say Trump finds a way to bail all of us out of this shit. Like Trump actually does a decent job at taking care of us through this. How much do you want to bet? Like, motherfuckers are gonna forget about all the fucking dumb shit Donald Trump did over the last 4 years, and that motherfucker's gonna get reelected. That's my a part of me thinks that the powers that be orchestrated all of this just fucking so like Trump will end up looking like a hero. You see it in movies all the time where it's like everyone hates this guy, and then he like fucking does something and everyone forgets about how much they hated him. I just think it's gonna be funny going into this election with all of this fucking Biden shit and all of this fucking Bernie Sanders shit. What are the odds that fucking Trump actually takes care of us, the American people, in a way where he straight up gets reelected because of it? Where people are just like, oh, well, he was kind of dumb, but he did save us from the COVID-19, And myself included, if Trump gives me a fucking $1,000 check, I'm just going to be like, wow, well, I guess he wasn't that bad of a guy. People say all the time, because we have that t-shirt where it's the big baby gay Trump with the big giant rainbow dildo lollipop. They're like, you need to make another one because you need to make one that shows that both sides are just as stupid. I'm like, I don't have to do anything. Some guy's trying to convince me at the Doll Hut. He's like, you need to make one with Hillary too. It's like, no, it's like, we're not even a political band, really. We have our set of politics, but like, I'm not really making fucking concrete statements in Downtown Brown, but I just think it's funny. Like, I just thought it was funny. Like what's gonna sell better than a T-shirt of Trump with small baby hands in a diaper, just like completely orange and fat, just like with his nipples pierced, eating this big fat fucking rainbow dildo, like just looks like a sexy, naughty, fat daddy baby. Like, to me, it just was funny. Like, let's take the piss out of this guy. Let's make him as gay and as fucking, like as much of a fucking cartoon. Let's emasculate him as much as possible, So it wasn't really a big statement on like I'm for Hillary because I made this T-shirt. It's pretty much just like, look at this big fat sexy naughty baby and how sexy and small his hands are and how big and fat his big old gut is and how pierced his nipples are and how gay he is with this big rainbow dildo. At first, when we were designing the T-shirt, the dildo was like very phallic. It had a very thick head. It ended up being just a big kind of like long thing that tapers at the end, more of a triangle than a fucking, a big phallic thing with a dick head. Like, it ended up being a little bit more innocent of a lollipop, even though it was rainbow. But yeah, we sold that on the Guttermouth shit, and even Mark was like, "Well, you're definitely anti-Trump," and I'm just like, "Yeah, that doesn't mean I'm pro anybody else." I got on stage and I remember being like, "Vote for the old guy," and everyone's like, "Which one?" I'm just like, "The old one," and because who knows who is actually in control? Who knows like what is the truth? Who knows what any. I don't fucking know. I'm just some dude, and I'm at like a low income level. Like, I'm a poor American, and all I'm doing is getting swept up with this giant crazy shit. And it's like, I don't know what the truth is. I don't know anyone personally that's gotten this. All we know is what's put on the internet and blast in our faces, what's put on the news and blast in our faces, and then we decide who's more reputable and who is full of shit. And like, honestly, in this situation, all I'm gonna try and do is like fucking lay as low as I possibly can, because if this shit is as real as I'm made to believe it is, I don't want to be one of the people fucking on spring break making shit worse, because that just seems dumb. And there's a lot of elderly people in my life that I love and I want to see live longer. I'm looking forward to the next time I get to visit my mother. She's like, one of my biggest advocates on this planet. And it's so lucky that she's even alive right now because of all the brain surgery she had in 2017. She had 3 brain surgeries. So it's like, let's keep mom alive. Let's keep Aunt Mary alive. And every one of you has a mom, or a mom type figure, or an Aunt Mary type figure, some sort of elderly person that you care about. You have to, like, even if you don't have a mom, even if you don't have a dad, there has to be someone old in your community that you're like, wow, if that person got sick and died, I want to make sure that doesn't happen. So it's up to us to fucking not do anything. Stay the fuck put. I think it's a good idea, you know? And we just have to, like, every day we just have to try to take care of our bodies and not make this shit any worse. Just stay the fuck put. You know, unless the whole reason they're doing this is because it's just this fake fucking virus, and then in the fucking antibiotic, once they come up with the antibiotic for it, or once they come up with the cure for it, every one of us that gets injected, we get injected with a fucking microscopic RFID chip, and this is truly fucking how they start controlling us. Like, I don't know if that's true either. I'm not an educated dude. But that would be a pretty fucking sinister plot. Like, engineer a disease, give it to everyone in the world, make everyone fucking, inject themselves with some sort of cure that fucking puts them all under the spell of the man. Yeah, that's some fucking Dr. Evil type shit. Is that what's happening? Is it because of the 5G? They started the 5G in China, and then everyone fucking, like, everyone had a terrible fucking... gets a terrible virus because 5G, the body doesn't know how to react to it. So some sort of like weird mutation happens. And then because of the 5G, we all got COVID-19. Like, what is it? What is it? I don't know, but right now I'm going to listen to my overlords, and I'm going to stay the fuck put, because like if statistically speaking, the best way to not fucking spread something is to stay put and not fucking talk to anyone and not do anything. That's what I'm going to do. I'm already pretty good at that anyway. I don't fucking do shit anymore anyway. All I do is sit on the computer and edit video. So that's what I'm going to do. And I hang out with my girlfriend. I always tell my girlfriend, I'm like, you're my only fucking friend out here. And she's like, well, don't say that. People care about you. Yeah, but it's true. It's like I spend time with one person out here. I spend most of my time with one person. And right now, like, it's just us. And I'm annoying the shit out of her, and I'm farting a lot. And I'm going to eat some burritos here. So we just cooked a burrito in the oven. And so if they do put us on lockdown, they say they put San Francisco on lockdown, and pretty much what that means is there's a specific area of time where you can travel to either the pharmacy, the hospital, or the grocery store, or I think the bank. So I think those are the things that stay open, but they haven't put us on lockdown yet. When you leave, if you're in like Southern California, you still can do most things. You still can go to a fast food place and get carry out, you know? So it's like, is it going to get worse before it gets better? It very well may. It very well may get to the point where like so many people get this that they have to put us on lockdown, and we have to stay put. It's going to be government mandated. We don't know that yet. We don't know if Trump is going to give us this check yet. We don't know. This is the beginning stages of something that we've never seen in our fucking lives, and I'm sitting in a shower, and I'm just waiting for the next step in this fucking crazy time. And so yeah, I'm gonna go eat this burrito. I think I've been talking long enough, but yeah, that's pretty much what happened with me. I was rocking, I was rolling. Everything got canceled. I got scared. I was going to run for it. I was going to have an apocalypse adventure either by myself or with Phil or with my girlfriend or with all three of us. We were going to have an apocalypse, like race across the country before the fucking people start killing each other and eating each other for food. And you know what? That didn't happen. And honestly, in a weird way, I'm kind of bummed out because I've written songs about it. Welcome to the Acropolis. I've been waiting my whole life for an apocalyptic adventure. I was obsessed with Stephen King's The Stand in middle school. I read the entire book. I read all fucking 1,000+ pages of that book, and I was obsessed with it. I'm like, okay. So as this was happening, it was a very exciting time for me. It might not have been a good excitement. It was a fear-based excitement, but it was exciting because I'm like, all right, I'm going to get the van ready. I'm going to get everyone, and we're going to get the fuck out of here, and we're going to survive zombie apocalypse. And, yeah, but now I'm just sitting here in Long Beach, California with Allie, and we're just going to ride this out in a very mellow way, not in a dramatic drive across the country and save your mother kind of way. We're going to ride this out in a very calculated, stay put and just create content kind of way, which is cool. I think I'm going to be pretty productive throughout this. I got a whole bunch of caffeine and a whole bunch of weed, but a part of me wanted that fucking apocalypse adventure, and I wanted to fucking be one of the smart people that got out before it got really bad. And who knows, it might still get really bad, but I really think what's going to happen is instead of people like killing each other, I think it's what's going to happen in China or Italy or France, where the government is going to mandate us to stay put, and we're going to have to stay put, or else, because if we're out past curfew, we could get in big trouble. So everyone is just, if it gets worse, everyone is just going to stay put. We're going to be forced to stay put, and it's going to last a while if it gets worse. And it probably will get worse because everyone thinks it's just no big deal. So let's see what happens, everyone. And I might do the next podcast with Allie, probably. And the next podcast might not be in my shower because I'm not in fear, but I am still in fear. It's a weird place between not being afraid but being still worried, but just knowing that okay is right now, sort of, for now. So yeah, this is Neil Patterson. This has been SUPcast number 26, the fucking pandemic cast, pandemcast, pandemcast, pandemonium cast, hysteria cast, butt cast, SUPcast, yo cast, la cast. We're doing it. We're still doing it. We're still alive. A lot of us. If you look at the statistics worldwide, this thing hasn't killed that many people, but it will when it's done. If it's A, as serious as people say it is, and B, if we fucking go on spring break about it. Don't go on spring break. Don't fucking smoke a bunch of weed with a bunch of strangers. Stay fucking put. Hang out with yourself. Make some art. Don't leave. Don't get an old person sick. Don't risk an old person's life because you want to go out and party with your bros. Don't be fucking stupid. And yeah, we'll see you in a little bit, and we'll talk more about what's going on, okay, as it develops, because every day it gets a little crazier. So love you all. Stay safe. Wash your fucking hands. Stay put. Make some fucking art. Watch some fucking TV. Try not to make too many babies. Take care of yourself. Send me an email. We got the Patreon going still. That's going to help me through this. And yeah, you know where to look for the links. And I'm going to go eat this burrito. So this is SUPcast number 26. This is Neil Patterson. My butt is asleep. Sup, sup, I'm behind the shower curtain and I'm protecting myself from the people and the weirdos and the virus